Everything just changed for the Boston Celtics as with free agency starting today, Brad Stevens was unfortunately unable to retain one of the key players that he wanted to bring back, and that guy is Luke Kornet, as he will be going to the San Antonio Spurs after signing a solid extension very worthy of his productive play from what we've seen with the Boston Celtics. So what does this mean for the Celtics going into free agency here with the rest of their money, and also diving into what Joe Mazzulla can look to experiment with his center group? We'll be diving into all of that and more on this episode of Celtics Digest. I am Bruce Velez, and I got my boy Patrick over here. And Patrick, it is a very sad day for the both of us. This is something that we did not want to see happen, something we didn't anticipate as well with the Boston Celtics, but unfortunately, Luke Kornet is gone.
Yeah, I think unexpected is really the word that I would have to use, because I really didn't think it would come down to this. But as the days kind of be whittled down here, it really just felt like something like this was inevitable. And it seems like there's a lot more moves to be made, and it's not the best sign as a Boston Celtics fan right now.
100%. There's definitely going to be some more things on the way. So if you want to stay up to date on everything, make sure to hit that subscribe button. But Patrick, let's dive in and let's get into the video at hand today, as it definitely hurts for what we had to experience and what we just broke down right there in the introduction, as obviously Luke Kornet will no longer be in the Boston Celtics team, as he will be going over to the San Antonio Spurs. He signed a 4-year, $41 million extension or deal with them. Absolutely great for Luke Kornet. He's going to be an exceptional backup center. We talked about it multiple times here on the channel, Patrick, about his in-depth stats and his advanced stats and how great of a pick in the roller he was alongside Jayson Tatum, and now him going with all those guards in San Antonio playing alongside De'Aaron Fox, Stephon Castle, and now Dylan Harper. That is just going to be so great for them. They also need a backup big man. Their biggest weak point is when Victor Wembanyama sits and he's not playing, and Luke Kornet, as we all know, can be that backup big, but also can rise up and take some starting minutes as well when he is needed. So I really like this pickup for the Spurs, but it does stink for the Boston Celtics here because they just lost one of their key vital pieces that is definitely underrated.
Yeah, this is definitely a spot where Luke Kornet is definitely going to flourish. Just like you said, those three guys, I mean, damn, that is a really damn good lineup for Luke Kornet to fill in. And I think that he could even run with Wembanyama as well.
Yep.
So that's definitely a scary sight for a lot of other teams. But, I mean, if we're just talking about the Celtics side of things, just like the chapter said, this one definitely hurts. Not only just because of the Celtics' depth at the center position, this is just a guy that they really grew into an awesome center in general. He could have even started for the Boston Celtics next year, as we know that the depth is not very good. And he definitely could have seen his way into the starting lineup, and just how well he played in the pick and roll with Jayson Tatum and a bunch of other guys. Just seeing him grow as a player is truly amazing. And I just can't believe we're making this video.
Yeah, when Luke Kornet was first traded to the Boston Celtics back in like 2020 or 2021, I believe it was, from the Chicago Bulls, I remember being like, damn, we got Luke Kornet. Like, this guy doesn't even play for the Bulls, right? And then he was able to find his way with the main Celtics, get up to this team, and really impressed me and shocked me, even dating back to last year, where I thought a guy like Neemias Queta was going to be better than him. But no, Luke Kornet stood his ground, and even this year proved me wrong once again, and I think he is well deserving of that money. You mentioned him and Wembanyama. I just can't imagine, obviously, Wemby playing with that 7-foot body and Kornet given those contests. That would just be so funny, just seeing that, on the court in general. Like, that just is a great image to put in my brain. But like you said, being a Boston Celtics fan, this is definitely rough here, because now the Celtics not only lost one center in Kristaps Porziņģis, but just lost a second one in Luke Kornet, one that you said that could have been a starter for this team, and one that they definitely wanted to keep, and they were trying to shed even more salary to do so. So Patrick, we're going to get into the next part here, which goes into what could be next for the Boston Celtics. Unfortunately for Luke Kornet, he will not be coming back to the Celtics, but the Celtics do still have some options here, right? They're right around $203 million now. Obviously, they didn't draft at pick 32. They drafted at pick 41 and 57, or 44 and 47, I believe. And with those two selections, they're going to be second-round two-way guys from what we've heard so far, and Max Shulga and Amari Williams. So they won't be on the Celtics salary. So that cuts it down a little bit, I think, to like around 202 or 201. So for the Boston Celtics here to get some options out there to potentially bring back Al Horford, potentially bring back Torrey Craig, or even consider bringing in some other bigs that are out there on the market to replace Luke Kornet, they're going to have to shed some of this salary. They're going to have to look to move some $8 to $10 million. So Patrick, the names of Anthony Simons, maybe not really Sam Hauser as much, but Georges Niang, those are the ones to maybe keep an eye on still, as those trades haven't really gone through yet for the Celtics.
Yeah, I think those are definitely some names that are going to be on the move. I mean, like we said, we thought that those names would have been on the move to clear up some space for Luke Kornet and Al Horford to be back. But this is a worst case scenario for the Boston Celtics, in my opinion, because that's definitely the first option you wanted back was Luke Kornet. I mean, Al Horford is a little bit on the older side, but he's done a lot of great things for the Boston Celtics. But you're running out of a lot of options. There are not many free agent bigs out there. I mean, we see DeAndre Ayton as a guy who's out there on the free agency, but they still need to clear up some money for him as well. But, I mean, like I've said this before, I mean, it definitely stinks to throw out the name, but I think Anthony Simons is one of those guys that they're really going to have to use for some trade pieces if they even want to get a viable big to bring in for next season and so on from there. I mean, if you just look at the free agency market, I'm just going to reiterate it. It's very slim at the center position, and that's why a lot of teams are like a Clint Capella just re-signing with the Houston Rockets. Like, just as the hours go by, the centers are dwindling down, and the Celtics need to hop on something. And it really just seems like the trade market is going to be where they're going to have to get their guy.
Yeah, you mentioned the trade market, and with Anthony Simons' contract, a team that I thought maybe possibly was the Dallas Mavericks because they showed interest in Jrue. They had Daniel Gafford. Maybe that was a piece the Celtics could get and shed at least like $5 million and still get a comfortable center coming into the building. But with them just getting D'Angelo Russell, that doesn't really look like a key. I thought also the Pistons, I talked to you because of Malik Beasley, him not being there with his contract potentially up in the air at the moment. I thought they could have traded for him, but they got Karis LeVert just recently, so who knows what they're going to be doing. So even those teams are kind of smalling down. I saw the Clippers maybe in a report, maybe if the Celtics could get like Bogdanovich and a guy in Chris Dunn and shed some money there, maybe even move Bogdanovich to a third team similar to they did in the Terrence Mann deal. Or Kristaps Porziņģis deal with Terrence Mann or something like that. We also mentioned the big man market. They desperately need one. Looking at the roster here, right? Obviously, without Jayson Tatum, you still need a power forward to kind of supplement those minutes. And Georges Niang is a great bench piece, but end of rotation guy. I feel like Neemias Queta is a solid backup big. Maybe Xavier Tillman can prove something as a backup big coming into next season. But like you mentioned, they still need that upgrade at center. And with Al Horford still being out there in the free agency market, Kevon Looney signing with the New Orleans Pelicans, which is a question mark of its own with them in their center department, that it leaves a big hole for the Golden State Warriors, a team that's been linked to Al Horford over these last couple hours. And that could be another scary update that we could be breaking down in the next, couple of minutes, even hour or two, or maybe even tomorrow, depending on how that really goes down for the Celtics and trying to shed the salary to at least bring one of these guys back.
Yeah, and I think it all kind of goes back to the draft too, Bruce. I think that's one thing that's a massive talking point because we talk about Hugo Gonzalez coming to the Celtics and kind of a question mark. I mean, he was a guy that was projected to go top 5 from a lot of people before this year's draft, right before the season started. And I mean, I guess they see some value in him and thought that maybe Kornet and Al Horford would be back. But I mean, as the hours are going by, one of them is already gone. So you kind of question, should they have just gotten their center in the draft when they had the chance to, because they wanted a guy like Rasheer Fleming, but even though he's not really a true center, I mean, Kalkbrenner was still on the board as well. So, I mean, you got to think about a lot of things here about what the Celtics are thinking and if there's any moves behind doors that we don't know about. And, I mean, that's just got to be the answer at this point.
100%. You also mentioned those centers as well. Even Maxime Renaud was still there. There was a lot of possibilities the Celtics could have gotten. Rasheer Fleming, a guy that they wanted, that they traded back from, which was, not the greatest, obviously, for you in that night because you wanted to see them make a pick, you know what I mean? But and that's what Brad does. He always trades back, and we kind of guessed what that happening. Always happens. But with the Boston Celtics here, definitely keep an eye on them on the trade market. Still, I do think there should be more moves on the way, but it does stink to lose Luke Kornet, and I did kind of figure we might lose one of these guys, but if we lose both, Patrick, I'm definitely going to be devastated, and I think that's going to be a complete gut wrench, not only to the roster and to the team itself as the core, but to the fans and how we really do treasure these guys, and I think that'll be really devastating for Celtics fans. So I'm hoping at least Brad Stevens can retain one of these guys. I was very confident more in Al Horford than Luke Kornet staying with this Celtics team. So I'm still believing in the fact that they still can bring him back if they can shed some salary. We'll obviously, like I said, have to keep our eyes peeled.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, Luke Kornet is the younger player. So I guess in hindsight, it definitely does stink. I mean, we know what Al is able to bring to the court. I mean, is he going to be able to get into those starting minutes again? Who knows? I mean, I'm sure he can for a year and to be a little bit temporary, but I mean, I think we both can agree that Luke Kornet was the top priority to bring back here, and this one definitely hurts.
Yep, top priority officially gone for the Boston Celtics, and things are definitely going to be changing for this team. So once again, make sure to keep your eyes peeled for the updates. Patrick and I will have the videos coming out for you. So if you want to get everything on this Boston Celtics team related to free agency, trades, more moves, and what the Celtics are doing, Patrick mentioned Hugo Gonzalez, and he has his introductory press conference tomorrow. So if there's any tidbits of information with that, we'll have some news for you as well regarding him as well. So make sure to stay tuned, hit that subscribe button, and let us know your thoughts on the Luke Kornet signing to the Spurs, leaving the Boston Celtics. We want to wish Luke Kornet the best of luck, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Have a great rest of your day, and go Boston Celtics.